Welcome back to the Soul Fresh Podcast. I'm your host, BK. We've got a great show today. You know it's election season. So before we get started, let me go ahead and tell you about a few key dates. We've got already started April 29th through May 17th. We've got the early election. So go ahead and get out there, bypass the lines, and just go ahead and get it out the way. It takes about 2-3 minutes tops, especially if you go during the day, but easy. But also, we've got the main election, which is May 21st. May 21st, go out there and get these votes done. So today we've got Yancey Brown. He is running for Post 7 countywide, and that is Houston County School Board. So welcome to the podcast, Yancey Brown.
Thank you so much for having
me. Hey, no problem, man. So what I like to do before each podcast, I want to know all about you. And this is laid back, so this is not one of those podcasts where, it's a I got you moment or whatever. It's really, I want people to know any of the candidates that I invite on here. And so this is an opportunity for you to tell people about yourself, and let's get into like what your platform is about and what you plan to do. So first question is, tell me about yourself.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. First of all, I like to tell people that number one, I'm a man of God.
Right.
I am an assistant pastor at a small church called Greater Victory Church in Warner Robins. The second thing I like to tell people is that I'm a husband. I've been married to my wife for 26 years, and everything's been great. And also, I am a father. I have 4 kids. My oldest one is 27. We adopted him when he was 15. I have a 21-year-old daughter that is in her doctorate program at UGA.
Doing it.
I have another son that's 20. He's playing football out at Texas Tech. And I have also have a 10-year-old who is very interested in soccer and playing video games.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
How long you said you've been married, right? How long you been married?
26 years.
Hey, that's what's up.
We got married. I was 20 and she was 18.
Okay, cool. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you, I was talking to you a few weeks ago. I think I saw you. I first met you at the voter when we did the podcast for the importance of voter registration. But and I think you were telling me briefly about your story. So, most of the time when people want to run for something, that means they have some type of issue with what's going on, or some type of issue with the way leadership is being pursued. So tell us your story as far as why are you running for Houston County School Board?
Well, it all started for me with my middle son. He was at one school and we transferred to another school, and we ran into a lot of discrepancies with that. The rules were not being explained. I couldn't find a quick answer as to why we were going through all of these issues. And when I actually went to the school board ahead of time to make sure we was doing everything right. Well, to make a long story short, we had to get lawyers involved, and I fought the school board out of my own pocket. They wound up dismissing the case when it got to the state level, and that's what really got me interested in the school system and how it functions, how it all comes together, how they make the decisions, what are they basing these decisions off of. I also started looking at the percentages of graduation rates, how they teaching these kids, how these teachers and students really feel about the school, and also about the school board. And for me, it was one of those things where I'm the type of person that instead of me sitting back complaining about something, I decided to do something about it. So I studied, I waited until I felt was the right time for me to run, which is why I am which is why I'm running now. So
you mentioned you started getting more involved, like in the school board. So like attending the school board meetings?
Yes, I was attending the school board meetings online, and just started trying to figure out, okay, what is going on? These school boards are different than other counties. You can't just go up there if you have an issue or something like that. What you have to do is you have to go through all these policies and procedures, and it's dragged out.
Yeah.
So that was also part of our problem because of the way they have everything orchestrated, it cost my son to miss his junior year of playing football.
Yeah.
And so
And you see that on TV, where you see all these school board meetings where people have their right to participate and speak freely on their issues or whatnot.
that's one of the things that I want to do is I want to educate the community on the policies and procedures of the school board. Because you have, just talking to a lot of people, you get a lot of people that's frustrated because they don't understand, but the rules and the policies are just not really explained well. So I found out that if you talk to people and not just put something in and put it on a website, but if you talk to people and help them understand these are the policies and procedures, they have no problem abiding by them. Or if they have a problem with it, you make avenues for that to change.
Right.
But that's one of the things that I want to do on the school board is really talk to people, not just put something out there, but really talk to people so that way they can understand how things are governed and how they do things.
Yeah, so I guess you kind of pretty much answered my next question, which is, what is that one particular issue that motivates you to serve on the school board?
I'm the type of person, for me, is just information is key.
Yeah.
Information is key. And for me, just getting the information out to the right people, because especially in this, I call it this Snapchat world today, where somebody can take 5 words of what you say and make it seem like it's a whole nother avenue, and it's not. I don't want House and County to be perceived that much. Even with the issues that I went through, I don't want it to perceived as I hate the school board or anything. Not at all.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, everything that I went through, I would go through again for the relationship and the bond that I have with my son, but also the work ethic that it produced in him that pushed him to go to where he's at right now, which is playing Division I ball, which is what he wanted to do.
Right.
So for me, it's getting the information out there and getting out in the right way and the way people can understand and can grasp it.
Yeah. But also give yourself some credit. You and your wife, pat yourself on the back, because, that's what your son needed, that advocate. And you advocated for him, and what you're doing is advocating for him, and then I guess you plan to advocate for others.
100%. I want to advocate for all children.
Right.
I think that the rules should fit everybody, and that we should abide in those rules and move in the way the rules allow us to move. But if we have a problem with the rules, then that's where we come together as the board and decide on what ways we can be more effective in enforcing the rules. Do we need to change them? Do we need to modify them? So that's where the board needs to come more into play.
Right. I think I remember hearing a while back, you served in the military?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so tell us about, how you plan to take that military experience and I guess use that for your leadership if you're elected to be on the school board. But also tell me what experiences make you qualified to be on the school board.
Well, I think one of the things that I learned in the military, I learned a lot of great leadership things in the Air Force that I was in. One of the biggest things, one thing I believe in is getting everybody together to buy into the vision. I had a supervisor who taught all of us that if you take care of the people, the mission would take care of itself. That is very, very strong with me. That's the way I've always led anything that I was in. And it was always a collective group effort, because I realized this right here, and this is something that I say, and it's not to be cocky, but I know I'm smart enough to know what I know, but I'm wise enough to surround myself with people who know things that I don't. I'm wise enough to do that. And so I'm going into a situation knowing that I don't know everything. I may not have been a teacher in the classroom, but I know to surround myself with educators who have that experience and who draw from different areas. I'm also wise enough to know that I need to talk to more administrators, so I can find out what's going on behind the scenes. So my thing is to have a group effort and include everybody and be a sounding board for them. It's kind of a joke. It's kind of a joke where I tell people I don't want to go in with not one original idea in my head. But the thing is, it's really true. I want to not just push my agenda, but I want to push our agenda.
Getting the feet off of other people, see what everybody else talking about.
Exactly.
Come together for a common consensus as far as this is what we gonna do.
Right. And that's one of the things that I learned in the military. I learned that regardless of where you at, that everybody has a voice and everybody has an input.
Right.
So for me, that's what I bring to. And also, I'm also a father. You know, I still have a child that is in the school system. He's still in kindergarten. I mean, not kindergarten, but elementary school. So I'm looking towards the future on how we can do things better. And by talking to educators and parents, and I've found some things that we possibly can do.
Right.
So I'm excited about going forward and doing what I can to assist in that area.
Right. Okay. So you remember that crazy thing we went through a few years ago, COVID-19.
Yes.
So in light of recent challenges such as COVID-19's pandemic, what initiatives do you believe are crucial for supporting student learning and mental health?
I can tell you that COVID was a game changer for us. I think COVID really exposed some things that we were lacking in, but it also opened up some opportunities.
Right.
I think one of the things that we need to look at is that students learn different ways. I think we also realize too that how important being in a social gathering is important to some people, while others it may not. I think one of the things that I want to push is I think that we need to have more behavioral therapists in every school.
So you're saying basically what pandemic taught us is some people learn better being in that private individual environment versus some people thrived and needed to go back to school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, to me, I think it should be left up to the parent if they would allow their kid to stay at home and just take the classes online like they did when they was in COVID. And not only will it help out that student, but it will also help out the problem that we have going on in our schools, especially in the high schools, where they seem to be kind of overcrowded and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's something that we can do, an avenue that we can look at. But also, COVID also showed us how important our teachers really are. I'm going to be honest with you. When my son was home, trying to do that Common Core math was a struggle.
Man, trying to do it. Period.
It was a struggle for me because I'm used to carrying a one and not only imagine trying to teach something to a child that you don't even understand yourselves.
Yeah, and when it first started, man, my daughter was in either kindergarten. Yeah, I think she was in kindergarten, and my son was 3 or 4. So he was, he's got a late birthday, so he missed that cutoff to go to pre-K. See, because if his birthday went late, they would be back to back.
Right.
But they're 2 grades apart. Right. So I got one in there as a kindergartner on Zoom and I'm trying to, work and manage that. But then I got another one that I'm also trying not to let get behind so he can be prepared for pre-K. So we on there trying to watch YouTube shows and he like, I don't want to, And then I'm working from the house. Man, it was
rough.
And see, my wife's in education, so by that time they went back. But the kids were still here. But the teachers, administration had to go back. So don't want to go back to that. No, but it taught us a lot.
It taught us a lot,
and I think the kids were ready to go back. And I think they also learned a lot as far as their technical abilities. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it was something that for me, like I said, was a eye opener, and I think to a lot of people. And but like I said, I think that we should take every opportunity to learn from it, and I think that we can. I mean, God forbid if we ever go back, but I think that we can take those lessons and apply them to our, especially here in Houston County, and apply that so that way we could be. Like, for instance, we can be a beacon of light for a lot of counties to be like, hey, what are you guys doing over there? It seemed like your fights are down, your student crowding is not necessarily a problem like that anymore, and it seemed like everybody's so calm. So I think us looking at different ways to educate and also getting more behavioral therapists in every school is a big help.
Right. So what's your take on how mental health is dealt with in the school system? Have you seen any issues or had any, conversations with anybody as far as how they deal with, mental health?
I have, and the main thing that I've heard from educators and as parents is that they need more help. But also understand that I do understand that mental health it's a new game, is the only way I know how to explain it. When we went to school, it was not existent.
Yeah.
It was like, boy, suck it up, going back to class.
Right.
But we realize now that that's not healthy for the child.
Right.
So I understand that we are new into this. And I understand that I talk to a lot of educators, and they tell me that the problem, they understand that the kids are going through things, but it is very hard for them to teach a full class and also deal with issues that they are not trained for.
Right, yeah.
So we need to do more training with our educators, but also we need, and I talked to some of them and I said, hey, do you guys have a behavioral therapist? Which y'all got like 2 or 3. And they's like, no, we might have one for every 2 or 3 schools. And it's the same thing with our security officers. I've heard, just by talking that, that they need more security officers in the school.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I mentioned that on another podcast, on the episode where I felt that, they were lacking, the resource officers SRO officer at most of the locations. So, because there's not one at my kid's school.
Right.
I'm pretty sure one can get there pretty fast, but I just would feel a little bit safer with everything that we have going on in the country,
right?
And that with the random things, because I'm a person that believes in anything can happen. Right. I don't never get too comfortable and be like, that'll never happen here, not in Houston County. You don't know what happened, so I feel like, wait, where's the SRO?
Right.
And so, but that goes into a whole nother issue, I guess, when we're talking about, the police department and sheriff department, and also the lack of people wanting to be police officers these days. It's just not a job. One, the reputation that they've gotten over like the last 5, 6, 7 years. Right. And also it's a pay issue, right. So I've heard him talk about that on one of the forums that they had with the violence going around in Warner Robins. And so, they were just talking about the lack of, they don't have enough officers to patrol the city. It's just impossible. Right. I think they said only about 30 or 40 police officers. So, and then you have to then we building more schools. So you're going to need more at each school. Right. So
that is definitely a growing problem that we're having here in Warner Robins. And I really appreciate the chief coming out and talking to us and everything and explaining all that to them. And I think that's something that, honestly, as board members, that we can take a step from. We need to have open forums and explain to parents, hey, this is what's really going on. Because now when you explain to what's going on, now you put the shoe on the other foot. Mm-hmm. Like hearing the chiefs talk about, okay, this is what's really going on in our town. Mm-hmm. These are the problems we have, and this is what's going on. So now we're like, okay, now we understand.
I just want to hear, I would like to know the relationship between what's going on in the school system versus what's going on in the community. Like, I guess to hear from educators, because one of the craziest things is that these kids are getting younger and younger. Mm-hmm. I mean, rest in peace, that 14-year-old that got killed. Yeah. And then recently, like last week, it was a 16-year-old, and then the week before, it was like, they just getting younger and younger. And it's like, at the same time, I'm asking myself, what are these kids doing? And this is no fault or blame on anybody else, but I'm just curious that in all these situations, not all of them, but some of these situations, these are things that are happening like 2, 3, 4 in the morning on a school night.
Right.
This
may not be a popular answer, but I'm going to be honest. But the school board only has enough control that the parents give them. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up in school, and that was a long time ago, where I knew that if the school called my house, my parents were going to be like, get them. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not there. Get them. Mm-hmm. But I understand with culture shifts and stuff like that. But there are just certain things in culture that we cannot change. Mm-hmm. If it is not the responsibility of the school to raise your child.
Yeah.
It is not their job is to educate your child. So if you don't, as a parent, and I'm a parent too, so if you don't get involved, if you don't go to the meetings, if you don't make the teacher student conferences, if you don't answer that app that they all have out there now, if you don't keep up with all of this stuff and you just sign their progress report and stick it back in their folder, even if you do that, then what do you expect for the school to do? What do you expect from them to do? That child, see, I've always said this right here, especially as a youth pastor for 15 years, I have learned that we don't give children enough credit. Children are smart.
Yeah.
They know that if mama not going to do nothing, or if daddy not going to do nothing, then I know the school can't do anything to me.
Yeah.
So
they pick up on stuff real quick. So the thing is, it is not a problem that the school can actually fix. Because we can only thing at the end of the day, the only thing we could do is suspend them and send them to Crossroads. I always called it Crossroads. That's what I always called alternative school. What I've always called.
Yeah, okay. I just called it Crossroads. But but the thing, and I've even done a lot of work when I lived in Arkansas at a Crossroads school there, and dealing with those kids. A lot of those kids. It's not necessarily that they being bad. A lot of them were dealing with mental health issues that just wasn't classified as mental health. A lot of these kids too are under very stressful situations that they don't know how to deal with except for to lash out.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of play that we can, but it takes communication and it takes everybody working together. And not only the school and the parents, but we also need organizations to also get involved in too, helping out with after school programs, tutoring. There's so many plethora of ways that can be discussed.
And I'm gonna be honest, and they won't.
Right.
That's kind of one of their policies, that they just don't allow organizations to come in and participate. Because I'm part of one that's trying to do that, but they just don't want to let a lot of organizations come in and participate that want to.
Right.
Or they might say, well, we already got a program like that. They'll bring in some type of specialist or something and like, well, we already working on this. Yeah, but it looks like you need help. So this goes back to my other question, but also something you said. So do you feel like the teachers are struggling with being able to teach the kids?
Yes.
Because we talk about our time where we didn't have the challenges that the kids have today. So they're competing with social media. They're competing with an array of mental health issues and distractions from just kids. So I feel like that pulls the distraction away from them to be able to just teach. It
does. Teachers, I respect them. My mom was an educator. My wife is an educator. I got family members that are also educators. And just to hear the stories of what's going on now is kind of disheartening, And the thing is, a lot of it is not even about the pay. A lot of it's not even about the pay.
Right.
It's about what they have to deal with inside the school. I kind of use this analogy where in the Bible, I can't remember his name, but in the Bible where he went to the king and he told the king he want to rebuild his city. The king gave him permission to rebuild the city, but what he was doing, he was trying to build with one hand and also fight with the other. How hard and how tiresome that is. You as a teacher, they have to fight with one hand and protect with the other from all these rules and regulations, stuff like that. It's very hard.
Yeah, and add on to that is now what they're trying to do, I guess, in some schools is, which they did it in one state, I believe it was Mississippi, or Tennessee or Mississippi, but allow teachers to come to school with a gun.
Tennessee.
Yeah. So now, and that is an issue because now, like you said, fighting with the kids, dealing with, kids, trying to teach, but also trying to protect the kids.
Right.
So teachers, man, it's a different game.
I think we expect too much out of them.
But that's what also with what we're talking about is why I feel like why they don't get more pay.
Right.
And why it is still an issue.
Right.
Why are we, like I mentioned on the last podcast, why in 2024 are we still having this conversation that teachers not getting paid enough when we've seen throughout time that they've showed their worth?
To me, there's something right there and like I said, just to be honest with you, I looked at the budget, and I looked at, and I can say, like in Houston County, and this is also coming from teachers that also teach in Bibb and stuff like that, that Houston County actually gets paid pretty good for being a teacher. I've heard that. But I've also looked at our budget, and I would say about 55 to 60% of it actually goes to teacher pay. So, but the other understand too is that all of that is built around taxes, you know, and where you live and stuff like that. So my thing of this right here is that if and I'm not a politician so for like that, I'm really not. But the thing is, if we want better pay from our teachers, then we have to get more money in to pay them. And the only way to do that is to raise taxes. Right. Like a lot of people don't understand that while we have a lot of our softball fields and these football fields and everything getting built, everybody asks the question, well, why is this being built and teachers aren't being paid? Well, to me, that's part of what I said when what I originally want to do was educate the community. Is a lot of this stuff is paid from SPLOST. Now, SPLOST, I think it's like they give like 1.5% or something like that. I can't remember how much you get per purchase. But what you can't do is you can't use those funds from SPLOST to pay teachers. You can only use them to rebuild stuff or build new stuff. So we have
in
to
the
look
community.
Exactly. So we have to look at different ways where we can raise, and we have to do the one thing, in my opinion, and I say I'm not an econ major, but we have to do something. If you want to get paid more, you got to raise taxes.
Yeah, and you already know how that's gonna go. You know?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, how do you envision addressing the diverse needs and interests of students while ensuring academic excellence and student well-being?
Well, first of all, we have to realize this right here. The number one, everybody does not learn the same. I've actually taken classes on different learning methods. And two, we also have to understand this. So we have to do that. And also number two, we also have to realize that diversity matters. I know for some people that's an ugly word, but it does matter. And these students are not just want to sit in the classroom and learn. They also want to know that what they're going through matters as well. So I think we have to be on the cusp of how to talk to these kids. And I think we have to look at the different ways. Like I said earlier, maybe some of them staying home would be a great thing for them to do. Look at learning different programs. Another thing that I would like to see more of is doing more shop things, more hands-on training.
Bring that back.
Yeah, we definitely got to bring that back because everybody's not going to go to college, and that is okay. I understand in my generation that was a huge thing that everybody needed to go to college. But I'm going to give you this quick example. I have a guy who graduated with my son. He went to was a GTC. He went out there for his junior and sophomore year. He learned a trade in industrial electrician. It was him and another guy in the class for 2 years. They went through all the training. He took 2 classes that only cost $2,500. Okay, for those 2 classes. And when he graduated, and out of that right there, he started out making $60,000 to $65,000 a year. Didn't go to college.
And I'm all for college, but I'm also, most importantly, all about skill.
Exactly.
He got to learn a skill. Because let me tell you something, man. I know too many people that went to school, but are not even really remotely doing what they went to school for.
Exactly.
It does teach you a few things that you can learn along the way, but at the same time, if you don't have a skill or a trade, that's what's kind of taking over the industry now, and that's what people are actually now looking for. Right. You know, and that's just the name of the game. And I preach that to my son all the time. Like in the meantime, I have this analogy, which is I always try to tell him to learn much as you can so you can just put things in your tool bag. Exactly. Because you'll never know how, when you go into a job, how resourceful you will be when they realize that, oh, you know how to do this too. Exactly. You know, you went to school for this, but you know how to code as well. I didn't, you know, it's just because, man, with YouTube and just everything, and just with tech schools, it's so much stuff that you can just learn and absorb in addition to going to college or not going to college.
I agree. Yeah. And I think those are more avenue ways that we need to explore for our children. But we have to realize that, like I said earlier, that everybody doesn't think the same. And I applaud these children for going out there. Like, you got kids staying at home making $200,000 playing video games. I mean, the world has changed, and I think COVID really exposed that. So I think that Houston County, we need to be on the verge of changing with it.
Is there any one particular academic program that you believe the district needs to address? Being that, you know, you've had several kids matriculate through the school system, and as me as well. So is there that one academic program or some academic programs, some things that you feel like should change?
I would say, number one, I think we need to, if I had to think about it, I probably would say we need to bring back more basic skills, living, like we was talking about earlier, bring some of that back. I'll put it to you this right here. For me, it's kind of difficult for me in the role of a parent to say what needs to be changed or what needs to be modified because I'm not actively, I was blessed to where my kids just picked up on everything as easy as they did. I was a parent that I didn't really have to sit down with my kids and really study, like they just got it. So it's kind of hard for me to say that, but questions like that, I would go to other parents and also to other teachers because they may have a different perception than I would on it. For me, I'm a strong proponent of special exercise with math and science, especially exposing math and science, especially having clubs, especially for women. My daughter is a science major, and there are not a lot of women in science. I don't know why, but there could be intimidation. But the thing is, I think exposing kids in a fun way to different elements, whether it's math, science, reading, technology, expose them at an earlier age and making it fun and allowing kids to really pursue their interests, not try to say, this is what I want you to do, but let kids explore their interests. And I think that's where parenting comes in and to play as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. And it's funny, something that you mentioned a while back about as far as kind of, you know, mobilizing the kids where, you know, maybe they should take a day, you know, which some people believe in that, a mental health day, you know,
100%.
but I think Peach County does it where don't they go 4 days and then they don't go to school on Fridays or something like that? I may be wrong.
But I do think that we do need to have mental health days. I can tell you as an adult, there are days where, and I think sometimes we forget as adults how it is to be a kid.
Yeah.
I think we really kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
And there's times where my kids told me, said, "Dad, I just need to stay home. I need to take a day." No problem.
Yeah. Me. I'm about like you.
Right.
I try to stay. You know, I try to not do it where they're gonna keep asking me.
Right.
You maybe get like two, one each semester,
You
whatever.
get one every week.
but I feel you. I'm like, because I feel like that some days.
Right.
Like, look, I don't feel like going to work today,
And I just stay home.
So if I can feel like that, they obviously can feel like that because you got, like you say, you got to remember what it was like to be a kid, and you doing this Monday through Friday, and the pressures, they got different pressures at school.
Right, they do. It is different. And one thing I stopped telling my kids is, well, you know, all you gotta do is go to school. What you worried about? Like, I gotta go provide. You know, well, they shouldn't know what I have to go through because they're kids.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's so important for us to explore the avenues of mental health and getting more mental health professionals within our schools. I know a lot of people say, well, they have the guidance counselors, but you can't expect the guidance counselors to do mental health. You can't expect for them to do, also I got to help your kid get into college. And by the way, because there's only 3 of us, when it's like 1,000 kids, how can you do your job effectively?
Right.
I feel that I feel that everybody in education wants to do their job effectively. We just got to work. We just got to make it happen for them.
So is there anything that you feel the school board could do better? And I know earlier in our conversation, you meant that, you know, that wasn't in your agenda to say what they're doing wrong, but is there anything that you feel that they could be doing better?
I do. I don't want people to think that I'm just sitting here down in the school board because I'm not, because I'm pretty sure they 100% got a stressful job. You can't make everybody happy. I understand that. I really do. That's why I think it is so important for them to educate the community, have the open forum so they can answer the questions, not try to make everything so sterile and say, well, you can only do this at this amount of time and this. Have those open forums. I mean, it's six, 7 people on the board. We can split up in 6, 7 different places. And if we don't know, then just say we don't know. Let me get back with you. There is nothing wrong with saying you don't know something.
Yeah.
Because you not knowing something gives you an opportunity to learn. All the stuff that I went through with my son put me on the track to do what I'm doing now. I didn't know how any of this stuff worked. And that when I started going down the rabbit hole, it was like, wow, I was able to educate other people. When other people said, well, they're doing this to my son, I could say, well, actually, by the policies in place, this is what they're doing, or this is why they can't do this.
Right.
So educating the community is extremely important to me.
All right, before we wrap it up, I want to give you this opportunity to talk to the people, let them know about your platform, maybe some things that we didn't discuss, but this is your opportunity to plug yourself. Let them know why they should vote for you, Yancey Brown, Post 7, House County School Board. So if you just basically just shed some light and just talk to the people and let them know why they should vote for you.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you so much for watching this podcast. I really appreciate it. My name is Yancey Brown. I'm going for the House and County Board of Education, Post 7. The reason why I think that you should vote for me, and this is no disrespect to the other candidates at all, I just feel like I'm the best choice. I wish I can say that, I'm not trying to be cocky or arrogant or anything. I just feel like I'm the best choice for our community. I'm not coming here to represent me, but I want to represent everybody. I want if your kids are having issues, you know what? I want to hear about them, because we really need to understand that each kid matters. We are raising our presidents, our CEOs, our mayors, our military people. They need to know that they matter. And I really feel that with me being on the board, I could bring another voice, a different perception to a wonderful community. I'm the type of person that if I felt like I didn't care about this community, then I would not get involved. Me running shows you how much I care. I'm here for you. I'm here for the educators. I want to hear from there. I want to hear from everybody. So if you want somebody in the office who's going to have a listening ear to the community, then vote for me. Thank you so much.
That was Mr. Yancey Brown. Hey, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me and having this conversation. And like I said, I wish you luck. And like I tell all the candidates, I hope you win.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, so I appreciate you joining us on this podcast, talking to Yancey Brown, running for House and County School Board, Post 7, that is countywide. And also, once again, just to recap what I talked about in the beginning of the podcast, early voting has already started. That's going to go all the way through up to May 17th. But the main election, where if you don't get out an early vote, make sure you get out there May 21st and cast your ballot for whoever you think you want to choose. So, but either way, get out there and just do your civic duty and just vote. Vote. And that's one question that's one thing we should have got into, is just the importance of voting. But that's a whole nother conversation.
But I can also add one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
Also, just don't vote on the candidates. Look at the questions that they're asking you and vote on those as well. Give your yes or your no, because when you answer those questions is what drive the policies that we are doing as a community. So just don't skip past the questions. Answer those questions, because those questions really matter as well.
All right. Once again, my guest today, Yancey Brown, running for House and County School Board, Post 7, and I'm your host, BK. Peace.